Hello, everybody. Larry Young here again with another segment of OLaMan Living Life with Purity. And today I want to talk about a four-letter word called love, L-O-V-E. What is love? And why do we need it? Why do we seek it so much? Why is it such a passion of ours? And why does it lead to loneliness in our lives? And how does that work together? These are things that a lot of people get confused. If you hear things in the background, my dogs are feeling a little bit rebellious today. I think they want some love themselves. But this is far more important. So love, what is love and how does it exist? Well, love is God. Love is God's image. You know, they all say that we're all made in God's image. Well, I don't believe God has an actual physical image. God just is. And God is love. And when He made us, He instilled love as part of our spiritual DNA, if that's what you want to call it. That's what I like to call it. And love is one thing that man has been given that he, she, we can create. It's one of the things that we can create. And I'm not just talking about the physical act of, making love, but I'm talking about the existence of love and how it is created. If I was always taught that if we do something for the benefit of another, in God's name and with our purposeful intent of being for God to do the right thing because God gave us that ability to help this other person, God's other children. When we do that, we create love. And as long as there's one person willing to continue to do that, there will never be a blank space in the love that exists in the world. So the love or the purposeful intent of one of God's children upon another creates love in that action because it's a God moment. So if anyone has a problem with that, let's talk about it. But it all goes to what I talked about one of my earlier segments about purposeful intent. What is it you meant to do? Did you do it with God's frame in your thinking? Did you do this because God asked you to do it, because He asked us to do it for everyone? Jesus said, we're to love our neighbor as we do ourselves. He didn't say we need to like them, because Jesus didn't like everybody, but He loved them. There is a difference. He didn't like the Pharisees. He understood them, He loved them, and He tried to teach them, but He didn't like them. You didn't see Him hanging out and doing lunch or something like that. It says, hey, meet me for tabbouleh at noon, or something like this. It might have been a ritual, or how people would do their lunch meetings or things like that to eat together and socialize. He didn't do that with the Pharisees. So He had huge ideological differences with them, but He still loved them, and He told us to love those also. Now, love. In my experience, love travels in a circular motion. Okay? It goes from God to us, and then from us to chain around other people. And so, when someone offers you love or offers you a generous act or some moment of consideration that is deep in its feeling, and you, as the recipient of it, say, oh, no, it's okay. You don't need to do that. No, that's just too much. No. Stop it. Because what you're doing in that moment is you are disregarding the other person's purposeful intent to help you in a spirit of love and godliness at that point. When you reject these things and say, no, I'm not worthy. No, you don't need to do that. No. What you're doing is you're feeding the loneliness pill inside you. And you're not taking this generous act of love from this other person, receiving it in the nature that it was intended, and then being able to pass it on to the next person. You have stopped the flow. Maybe thinking that you were being more courteous by saying, oh, no, I don't need that. No, I'm fine. No, that's not the point. I said in an earlier segment here a little bit ago, I said, take what you are given. Don't expect anything, but take what you're given. This comes not only from the Holy Spirit and our blessings that we receive in prayer and willful conduct, but it also comes from the spirit of the people around us, because they are God as well in their actions to us. And this is what we need to keep in mind. Don't stop the flow of love in the chain as it comes around, because all that's going to do is create a spirit and a depth of loneliness inside you. And also it's going to affect the other person, because they're going to feel like, well, what did I do that was wrong? They're going to, have these other questions about them. Is there something I did? Did I upset them? What is it? These things don't need to enter into our, conscience and disrupt our day and our own path, moving forward. These are little sinkholes along the way. We don't need to be putting these things out there. Be generous in giving and in receiving. And don't need to make a big monument out of it or anything like that. A simple thank you and a kind look in their eye is more than enough. It's to say, yes, I received that. Thank you. I do appreciate that. It was just what I needed at this time. And then even if you take that home with you and then pass it on to another person, maybe that was the intent all along of God, using us as his conduits and his vessels. So don't be dismissive of other people's attempts to try to offer love and to give you help and consideration in these things, because what you do is you stop that flow. A lot of you folks know that I was at the Rome City property where the apparitions of Our Lady of America took place. I bought the place in 2000. I was made to leave under bankruptcy in 2010. I was banned from the property. And I went on, had to go deal with the court case and things like that. Otherwise, this devotion was going to be completely dead. No one had ever touched it again, the bishops especially. Had that case not turned out the way it did. But it took a lot out of me. And in that time, when I was canceled by not only people I thought were my friends and people from the church and other bishops, no one would talk to me except for a few who would do it on the side. I got very, very lonely in that time, and so lonely, I was ready to take my life in 2012. It just seemed unsurmountable odds to be able to come out of this. My wife had left me, my father had died, my brothers and sisters didn't understand. They thought, there was this it can't be Larry. He's our brother. We know him, and a lot of people get this kind of treatment, and that's okay. It goes with the territory. But the sense of isolation and loneliness is really something that I don't wish upon anybody, because it really hurts down to the core. And when you're lonely like that and you don't feel that anyone is around you to help you or to even have a charitable conversation with you, life hurts. Life hurts. It's not hard. It just hurts. It's painful to go through. And I can see why people get so disconsolate that they do choose to end their life. And this is a very, very sad place, and I work hard to keep others from entering into that mindset. That's one of the reasons I do this, because there's a lot of lonely people out there. And I got to tell you, a lot of people who are feeling this way have done it to themselves. They have self-isolated as a means of thinking that they're taking on more suffering, or, oh, I'm not worthy, and all these things. You are worthy. We're all worthy. Okay, you have to put yourself in that position to receive these things, and you have to be welcoming to it when it does happen. So you can't play the victim card in this thing. So many people these days want to play the victim card because it makes them feel special. But what they end up doing is they just become more self-isolating in their victim stance. And then they start deflecting these attempts at love and help and understanding from other people because they want to continue on the victim path, because this is how they're kind of, picking at their scabs, so to speak, because they like that feeling of pain because they're not allowing in the good, the love, the God element. They've forgotten about that, or they've just, not considered it at all because they would rather have likes and things like this on their Facebook or their social media posts and things like this. And this is a real bad way to go about living a life of purity. So I have a story about when I had the property there. I would work so many hours, just so many hours. I mean, it was typical for me to work at least a 70-hour week at that place. I would start at the crack of dawn, sometimes even before the sun came up, to start the day, getting things going, because I wanted to try to complete it in a certain time frame that day. So my whole life was just about working on the property, trying to fix the rooms up, getting things ready for events or whatever was going on. It was just a constant battle. And so I'd work these long hours, and inevitably, as I would be locking up to try to go home to go to bed, get something to eat, all those things, just try to find some rest, I'd be walking out the door, locking things up, and a car would pull in. And this might be 6:30, 7 o'clock in the evening, and these people are coming in. I'd see they have out-of-state plates. So there were pilgrims that were making their way across country or whatever and wanted to stop in and visit the property in Rome City and learn about what had happened there, allegedly. So I'd be meeting these people in the parking lot, and I'd find their story. They'd see their plates. They were from New York or Virginia or Florida or whatever. And they would come in and they'd say, well, when's the place open? I said, well, it's, usually open during normal business hours during the day. I never turn anyone away. But it's, 6:30, 7 o'clock at night. I was heading home. I was going to try to get cleaned up, get something to eat, and go to sleep. And they said, oh, no, we came all this way. We came all this way. I said, well, get your stuff together. Come on in, and I'll show you around. Oh, no, you don't need to do that. You don't need to do that. I said, well, what the hell you want me to do? I said, you drove all this way. You just told me that you've been on the road 8 hours to get here, and now you're here, and now you don't want to come in? And they said, well, we don't want to put you out. We don't want to put you out. I said, I just offered for you to come in, and I'll open it back up again. I don't want your trip to be wasted. Oh, we'll come back some other time when we're traveling through. I said, but you're here now. What are you doing to me? And, oh, no, we don't need to, so they want to play this victim card after they come all this way. And what they're sort of doing is they're turning it back on me as I'm the one who is being the problem in this. And I'm saying, no, come on in. I'll open it up. I offered 3-4 times. I'd go up and I'd be opening the door. It says, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm opening the door for you to come back in, to come in and see what's going on. Oh, no, we don't have to do that. No, you're tired. You're going home. I said, look, come on in. And they would say, no. So I'd lock the door up and start walking away. They said, what are you doing? I said, well, you said you didn't want to come in. Well, I said, all right, so you do want to come in. Come on in. So it's fine. And so I'd get them inside, and then they'd end up having a wonderful visit. I'd be exhausted because they probably wouldn't leave until 9 o'clock that night. But it was just how life went for me. But what these folks were doing in that moment is they weren't only serving to sort of wear me down and kind of irritate me. They were trying to play this victim card. That we're suffering. It wasn't meant to be. No, it is meant to be. That's why I was still here, to let you in. You just won't, accept that. Come on in. Like I said, don't expect anything, but take what you're given. And these people were, in effect, they were breaking the cycle of love and stopping it because they came in with their need and their interest, and I was offering to take care of that, even though I was exhausted. But when they ended up finally coming on in, then they continued the cycle of love, and then they left in a totally different state of mind. Very happy, very fulfilled, and I tried to do that with all of them when they came in. But it seemed to be sort of a common pattern I would see at about 1 out of 3 late visitors or something like that. They all carried the same sort of dismissive, oh, no, we're not worthy, it's okay, we'll come back some other time. No, be available, make yourself available, be candid, but be available. So I think it happens with a term that priests use about some of their parishioners when they would come into the confessional about being there's people that are scrupulous, and they're very mindful of their sins, and they try to keep track of everything. And then there's the super scrupulous, and they suffer from scrupulosity, in that they confess the same things again and again and again. They never accept forgiveness because they always want to confess the same fault each time they go to confession. And this kind of wears the priests out too, because this is another form of denying this cycle of love. When they're forgiven for something, they give an absolution for their sins with the blessings there from the priest, and the purpose of Jesus being there. They're basically calling God a liar in that point, and by not accepting that forgiveness. And this is kind of irritating, but it's more irritating for the priest, but it's a condition that leads to more isolation and loneliness for this parishioner, this penitent. And this is how a lot of our society is going right now. We have people who are so upset with themselves, thinking that life has ruined them, or that they're a victim because of something that somebody else did, or something that happened 300 years ago or further back. These are cards that these people are wanting to play in order to gather more attention. What they're needing, though, is love. And when you have these people who are so isolated and so lonely, what is going to drive them out of it is a consistent barrage of love and offerings, and then keep going after these people, because this is part of the condition they want to do. They want to feel afflicted. They want to be in pain. They want to be different. But what we have to do is we have to tell them to blow it out their ass, because they're just being victims for the sake of being victims. And this might be a double-barreled butt shot here today, but what these soft people, these unicorns, need to have is more love, to let them know that it's okay. I understand you. I'm listening to you, because a lot of times they feel that nobody listens. And so what you want to do with these people is you want to repeat back what it is they say. And then once you've repeated it back and they understand you've heard them, then you can add your own element of love or objection or retort to them. Say, honey, I hear what you're saying about that, and I understand. But, this will pass. You're going to grow out of this, and you're going to find something that's going to excite you later on out of your love and passion that you have right now for this. This will spill over into something else that's going to be positive in your life, not destructive as it is right now. This is how youth goes. Youth are very, very passionate. They're very, very soft on social values and things like this. And Aristotle and all the old great philosophers, it said it's a common thing. If you're not sympathetic and you're not a liberal when you're young, something's wrong. But if you're not a conservative when you grow up, you haven't learned. Because life is about a journey of learning what matters, what love means. You ever see the movie Forrest Gump? Great movie. The man was everywhere in the timeline of history. Just a funny movie. But one of the more poignant discussions in that movie was when Forrest was speaking to Jenny, his lifelong love, and he was trying to let her know after she had failed at love and failed at her attempts of going out and rejecting love and trying to find other creature comforts and things like this in her youth, when she came back with problems and a deadly disease at this point, Forrest looked at her and he said, I'm not a smart man, but I know what love is. Very, very simple. Very simple. Coming from a childlike mind who spoke truth to everything that was around him. But he did let Jenny know that I'm not a smart man, but I do know what love is. And he was ready to give her love. He had been loving her. And I think when she felt that and understood that, that was when she came to peace. And she found love, and she understood what love was as well. And she knew what her meaning was, although it probably came too late in her life. But they did create a beautiful child together. And, a good point in the movie. But it doesn't take a lot of intellect to know what love is. You have to know here. So we have to share this with people around us in greater dosages than probably what we're accustomed to. Find ways to share. Find ways to explore communications with other folks. This is the feather strokes. You have to be strong in your own position, but you have to treat these other people with love. You don't have to like them, but you do need to try to love them. This is our role. So with that, I love you, and I'll be back.